back to another edition of the Pagcast. I'm your host, Michael Pagani, joined alongside 123rd ranked prospect Stephen Halliday. Stephen, how are you?
I'm doing good so far. Thanks for asking.
Well, during these unfortunate times, it's good that you're at least doing well because it's been somber, it's been sad. We are on the verge of getting sports back, so there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure. I'm pretty excited to watch the playoffs. It'll give me something to do later in the day after I finish my training in the morning.
Now, lots of people have turned towards Netflix to spend their quarantine. What have you been doing during quarantine?
Yeah, I've been watching a bunch of different shows on Netflix, kind of just seeing. I'm more of a movie guy rather to a show, but I've been just watching different stuff on Netflix after I've worked out. But I'm in Dubuque right now, so the rink's almost like it's almost a private rink because there's not a lot of stuff going on there. So I stay there a lot of the day and help out one of the coaches, Chad Remical, with different groups he has for the little kids. So it's not too boring of a day, but it's pretty busy. But in my spare time, I've been watching Netflix for sure.
What sort of movie genres do you like?
I like the action comedy. Like I've always liked Will Ferrell movies and Mark Wahlberg movies. Just stuff that's like it's not like super like boring, but it's also funny in action too. So comedy action mix.
Getting into your story a bit here, who influenced you to start hockey?
It was my dad kind of got me into hockey, and I started like watching it intently when I saw a lot of the superstars come in the league, like Crosby and Kane. Sorry, so it's been those two. Have been watching them for a while now, and I think they helped me get into loving the game of hockey essentially.
Was there a player growing up who you wanted to model your game after?
Yeah, like in the past like 4 years, I've kind of been watching Keller on his way up into the NHL. Like I watched a couple. I remember we watched an NTDP game when I was playing in the US. There was the NTDP game, and he was really good on that team. So I ended up following. I always followed him from that on. And when he played at BU, I watched a couple of like their Beanpot games, and he always did really good in those. So it was kind of easy to fall in love with his game. So like I don't really model my game after him because we're kind of different players, but I've always loved to watch him play, and he's probably my favorite player right now.
Do you have
But if I
any?
was,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, sorry, but if I was to model my game after someone, I'd probably be someone like JVR, who's like big body, power forward, the guy like that who can score in tight and has pretty good hands. So,
Do you have any JVR or Clayton Keller, apparel? Like any jerseys or
um,
shirts?
I do have a Coyotes like sweater, or actually, do I have a Keller jersey? When he wore number 9, or not 9, 14. When he wore 14, his first, like when he got called up from BU, I bought a jersey, like a 14 Keller jersey. So I have original number, so it's kind of cool.
Would you be able to speak upon your road to where you are today, like some of the challenges you faced? What are some of the successes you had?
Oh yeah, so like I played on a lot of good teams growing up, so I had a lot of success growing up playing hockey. I was always on a pretty good team, and last year in the Central Illinois Flying Aces, the year before I played on the Saints, we were kind of in rough shape. We weren't as good of a team, so it sucked losing a lot of games, but it kind of showed you like how hard it is to win a lot of games, and it makes you want to win even more than you already do because you're so used to it almost. So it's kind of like now I'm not taking it for granted, and you got to work for every win you get.
Now, per Elite Prospects, when I was doing some research, it says that you grew up in Toronto. Did you cheer for the hometown Toronto Maple Leafs?
I didn't actually cheer for the Leafs. My dad is a huge Leafs fan, so I would always cheer for every team that would play against the Leafs.
That's the best.
Yeah, so just to like get them all mad and stuff if they lost or whatever. So my dad's a diehard Leafs fan, so it was funny to see his reactions when they'd lose, and especially I remember that Game 7 versus Boston when the Leafs were up 4-1. Me and my dad actually had a bet that game. Like I was pretty young at the time, and I remember I went to like a pro hockey life that day, and I had a hat. I got a hat, and the bet was I had to work off the hat in chores if the Leafs won, but if they lost, then I got to keep the hat scot free. So that day, like, I was pretty upset when the Leafs were winning in Game 7, especially with like 8 or 9 minutes left in the game. It was like 4-1, and I remember being all sad. And then I see the Boston start scoring, and I'm getting all happy, and I'm rubbing it in his face. And it's like one of the worst comebacks or one of the worst like losses in a game in so long in a playoffs, Game 7. So it was kind of cool.
That is an amazing story. Just like everything about it, from buying the hat, then you're like the emotions during the game, and then you see Patrice Bergeron score the game-winning goal.
Yeah, exactly. I was jumping all over him, making him feel like crap.
Now, every kid dreams of playing in the NHL. What would it mean for you with all the hard work that you've put in to be drafted?
Yeah, it's every kid's dream to get drafted, and yeah, I'd be very honored to whatever team that would pick me in the draft. And just it goes to show you how much work you have to put in every day for the past 7 or 8 years, like getting up in the morning, going to skate or work out, and then you gotta eat right and stuff like that. So it's been great.
Now, this year with the Dubuque Fighting Saints, you notched 38 points in 46 games. Who was your hardest competition this year?
Yeah, our team was really we battled. We were kind of the solidified 1-2 with us in Chicago, and it was a pretty good battle between us two whenever we played each other. I felt like a couple of games they were just like unlucky bounces that we lost, but I think those two teams were definitely like our toughest competition were us and Chicago.
And Chicago's always near the top of the league, right?
Yeah, they get some. Their GM Ryan Hardy does a really good job finding good players anywhere, and they have a really good style of game where they let their skill shine. So it's not a coincidence how good they are.
Did you go through any droughts as a player this year? Any of the goalless droughts, pointless droughts?
Yeah, there was a bit of ups and downs at the beginning of the year. Like going into your draft year, you always want to like start off the year really good, and I was pretty pumped going into my draft year of how I was going to fare in the draft. And a couple, I think it was 20 games went by, and I only had like 5 points, so I was kind of getting a little bit down on myself. But my teammate Reese Gaber definitely helped me out with like not worrying so much about points and just playing really, really hard every game, and points will come. And my coach also was really good at putting me into situations to succeed, whether that be on the power play in the half wall or whether that be in OT. So I think those two decisions by both those guys were really influential in my season.
Now, realistically speaking here, how long or how short do you think your development will be to the NHL?
I chose the college route just over the OHL route because I think that my strengths are going to be beneficial in the long run. Like, I think going to college and especially going to a program like North Dakota, it'll definitely help me in the long run. And I think after 4 years, 3 or 4, or how many years I'm there, I think I'll be ready to make the jump right into the NHL rather than play in the AHL. If that be like, I think that the college just gives you extra time to develop, and the training they do there and everything's just a lot better than the OHL in my opinion.
Would you be able to take me through the day of when you found out the season was suspended due to the coronavirus?
Okay, yeah. So we played Waterloo on a Wednesday night, and we were going to Youngstown, which is 12 hours away, for the Friday night game. So we actually got on a bus not knowing the season was canceled, and we drove overnight to Youngstown. We practiced in the morning, so this is 12 hours away. So we overnight trip. We got to the rink around 1, practiced from 1 to 2. Like, this is a Thursday. We played on the Friday. So this was almost like a pre-game skate for the day before. And so we get off the ice there, and we're all like, we all heard rumors. So we're all like, oh, what's going to happen? And unfortunately, the season was canceled. So we ended up having to drive all the way back. So it was like, I want to say like 24 hours on a bus in like 3 days. So it kind of sucked, but
yeah. That is brutal.
Yeah.
And how has the coronavirus impacted your draft preparation?
Not like so much in a sense to like, I guess like it changed the date, but I was still probably gonna do the same routines I was doing right now, as everything, all the gyms have opened up and ice is starting to open. Although it does kind of suck not be able to go to like a development camp this summer and picking the brains of like the guys who would have drafted me if I was drafted or stuff like that. So I think that part is going to be a little bit missed out on, because I think the draft's in October, but the season's going to start in like
December
March.
1st. It came out
Yeah.
today that the
Okay.
tentative date for the 2020-2021 season is December 1st.
Yeah, so it'll be, they won't have it, and plus we'll be in season already, because I think the USHL, our report date is September 1st for Dubuque Saints, the Dubuque Fighting Saints. So I don't know how that's gonna work, but it would be cool if we still had one, if they still had one. But that's gonna be the part that I'll miss the most probably.
What would you say is your best memory from this season?
I would say probably just, yeah. I'm trying to think here. Best memory. I would think probably just how close all of us were. Like I played on the Central Illinois team, and like it was my first taste of junior hockey, and just like first time like being around and like traveling with the team and always being around the team. Like in minor hockey, you just go to the rink, hang out with your buddies, and then you just go home to your house, right? And then you have your school friends, and just moving away from all those like your parents and stuff. So I think that it was definitely just like how close we were this year, and knowing that like they all have our backs, whether that be on the ice or off the ice. And I think just that like camaraderie between us all was really something special, and I think that's why we were so good, and we just all bonded, and I think that's what made us better on the ice.
What would you say is a typical game day for you?
Oh yeah, so this year we would play around 7:07 was I think the official start time. But so in the mornings we had like a kind of like a game day weekend. So like a Friday night game would be, I would go to school from 6 to 11:45, and then I'd go to the rink, and they'd all have a pregame skate, all the guys that weren't in school. So it was me and Riley Stewart would be the guys that would go to school. So we go to school from, it was like 8 till 12 or 11:45, sorry. And then after that, depending on what I missed, I would go to the rink right after that, and then do like a video session with coach on like power play or like the game, what they went over in the meeting in the morning. And then I'd go home right after that, and I'd just chillax a bit. Probably I'm not really a nap guy. Some guys are nap guys, but I like to try and like stay awake, because I feel like taking a nap will like restart my day almost. So like I just stand around. Sometimes I'll just shoot mini sticks down in the basement or something like that, just to have fun or something. And then I eat chicken and rice at around like 3:45, 4, and then I go to the rink at, I think it's 5:30. Be at the rink at, or no, 4:30. So I'd leave at 4:30. Get to the rink by 3 or 4:45, and then we'd have to be at the rink at 5 for a 2-hour thing, and we'd have our pre-game meetings, and then warm up, and then the game. Then we probably get done around 10, 11. So I usually have either like a protein shake at the rink after, or something like that, banana, and then I just go home and go to bed. But then the Saturday game is, we'd have to be at the rink at 11, and we'd have a team walk for almost like half a mile every Saturday, which was actually, I hated it at the time because you're all tired and you have to walk, but it actually loosened up our legs and got some of the lactic acid out, which was always helpful. So we did a mile or half a mile walk around the rink, and then we'd go in, and we'd usually play the same team both games. So we'd just like what they did and try to counter some of the stuff they did in the meeting. He'd always ask us if like what we saw, and we'd get our input, and then we'd have a power play meeting after that, or a penalty kill. and then I'd go home and probably I'd eat around the same time and pretty much do the exact same thing after that.
How crucial is playing on the power play to your game?
Yeah, I think it's crucial to a lot of guys that are coming from minor hockey and they're always used to being the guy. I think Oliver or David, our head coach, gave us a really good, or gave me a really good chance to not only be on the power play, but be on the power play and be successful. And he didn't put me in a spot where I wasn't going to succeed. And he was really good at moving everyone around, like if something wasn't working. And I think that can attest to our overall winning percentage, and also our power play percentage is one of the top in the league. And I also give credit to guys like the Jackson twins, Ty and Dylan, who are really good at on the power play, and they also showed me a lot of stuff that I can try on the power play this year going back to Dubuque. So I think just learning from those two guys and Oliver giving me a chance on the power play was really crucial this year.
Now, are you the one to chirp the opponent or let your play do the talking?
If they chirp first, I'll usually say something back. But in a game, probably I'm usually pretty quiet on the ice. Maybe I talk to my teammates on the bench though for sure, and let them know what we could have done better, like in a positive way, obviously. But I think that I'm not super quiet throughout the game, but I'm definitely not the one leading the charge on chirping or fighting or anything like that.
What would you say is your go-to shootout move if you got the chance?
Yeah, hopefully not too many USHL goalies are listening, but I usually just come down and I almost like a Patty Kane stop up at the what's it called, the hash mark, and I usually just look 5-hole and I just shoot it as hard as I can, an inch above or an inch off the ice, which is like simulates where the goalie stick would be, so it's almost like a little bit of a hole there, and I just try to aim for that one usually. But if they're really low to the ground, I usually try to go like backhand, forehand, and then low glove or something. Usually not a high guy in the shootout, but yeah.
Yeah, you never want to sky it because if you sky, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, if you just hit the glass, just straight glass, yeah.
Have you been able to practice it?
Yeah, we usually did shootouts on our weekend practices, like before the games. But yeah, I've been pretty solid versus some of our goaltenders, and definitely helped me shooting against Eric Portillo, who was a third-round pick to the Sabres, and he won goalie of the year this year. So definitely helps shooting on him every day, and so that definitely was pretty cool.
Like you mentioned earlier, you're committed to North Dakota to further your hockey dreams. What did you consider when committing there?
Yeah, I think that like the organization speaks for itself in the sense where they've turned out so many pro guys, and I think that was a part of it, obviously. But I liked how the coaching staff like approached me. They weren't like the first ones on the scene, and then they were really personable, and I thought that they waited for the right time, and it was just really good when I went on my visit. They were really professional, and I liked how just obviously the rink is to die for. It's one of the best, if not the best, in the NCAA. So I think that also played a part. But also I loved how everyone in North Dakota loves their hockey. Like everyone just loves the Fighting Hawks now.
I want to further your point there on the alumni. You know, they had Jonathan Taves, Zach Parise, and TJ Oshie. All three of those have played in the Olympics. All three of them all three of them have played in the Stanley Cup Finals. Just incredible of what they have been accomplished. What does it mean for you to be a part of that group?
Yeah, I think that all those guys, like whether those three are obviously really big ones, or just like even like Brock, they even got Brock Besser, Jost, like they produced D-Man on Vancouver, Troy Stetcher. Last year they got Rhett Gardner, who signed in the NHL and actually played a couple games. They got Pinto this year, which will likely play in the NHL in a year or two. Then they got top guy like Sanderson, who's definitely going to play in the NHL in a couple of years. So I just think that they attract the big name guys that want to get better, and I think that's why I want to be part of it, is because I end up wanting to make that jump to the NHL, and I think they can help me do it, and they give me the best shot.
What will you be studying at North Dakota?
Yeah, I have an extra year to figure it out since I'm not going to be going in this year, but I'm not so sure. I think business is definitely a really good class to take my first year. So I think I might start there and see what other things I might enjoy while I'm there.
Now, I have a stack of hockey cards beside me. How cool would it be for you to have your own hockey card?
Yeah, it would be pretty cool considering like all the OHL guys have they have like a CHL card pack. So I know all my
Yeah.
buddies have their own hockey cards, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that would definitely be a pretty cool experience, or even like a memorabilia type thing where I just keep it in a frame at my house or something like that.
Last question here on the Pagcast. Do you have any advice for aspiring hockey players that may look up to you?
Uh, Not too much, but just keep on like I know not everyone is a big name guy like some of the top picks are, so but that doesn't mean that you can't make the NHL. Like you look at all the guys coming up from the later rounds now, so I just think that just keep on working and something will definitely happen.
Well, I'd like to thank the 123rd ranked prospect Stephen Halliday for joining me on today's Pagcast. Thank you again, Stephen.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.